The Breach. This is Star Trek Enterprise Season 2. We're going to talk about this amazing episode using my space system. Story, pacing, artistry, characters, enjoyment. Each category gets a score between 0 and 2. You're going to see none of these. You're going to see a lot of these. There's some episodes of Star Trek which deal with social issues, and they don't deal them in the stupid way that you see in modern garbage trash TV shows. They deal with them as adults who think. Both fingers point. And this. They think a lot. There's thinking. Then they write it based on the characters that we've seen. So this one is mostly about Phlox. There's some Denobulan scientists that are not trapped. They're underground in caves, doing some sort of geological tests or finds, whatever, digs. And this other regime comes over and says, everyone clear the planet, we're going to kill you all. So they got to get them out of here. That's your sort of your very loose story. The main part is that there's this alien race that Phlox's people, and these people had some sort of massive war. 20 million people died. And one guy gets rescued, and he's dying of radiation, and he's like, well, I don't want to be helped by Phlox because he's a Denobulan and our races hate each other. So look, we know it's about racism, except it's handled so perfectly. Before I get to the rest of that story, I'm giving the storyline a 2 out of 2. The story is 2 out of 2. Before I get to the rest of it, I do want to mention one funny thing, which is there's a tribble in the beginning of this, and he's like, oh, look, it's a tribble, and he feeds it to, he's like, these things breed, and then he just feeds it to his little pet. That was great. It's great to see a tribble get eaten. And then Hoshi's like, oh my God, she's all like shocked. It's like, you fed that cute little thing. And it's like, yeah, well, you don't know how troublesome they really are. So that was kind of fun. But no, then it's serious. So Phlox's race was responsible for the death of 20 million people of the other race. And this guy doesn't want to be treated with him. And Phlox is like, he didn't take the Hippocratic Oath or whatever. He's like, I don't just save anybody. They need to want to be saved by me. If they want help, I'll help them, right? If they refuse help, I have to honor that. That's the way Phlox's doctors work or whatever. And because Archer's like, well, I'm going to just order you to save this guy. He's like, well, I can't do that because the guy doesn't want me to. So they have to work out their differences. The way that the differences are worked out, it's done so beautifully. It's not done in a stupid, cheesy way like this. Like there's the latest Doctor Who episode where there's some racist people and they didn't want to be helped. It's like, okay, so you're going to be eaten by giant worms or accept this guy's help. It's just like the dumbest crap ever. This one, and in this one, Phlox's people are actually shown to be more of the villains in the war. Like they're actually the bad guys. And Phlox is like, and I was taught by my grandmother to hate and fear you, but it didn't catch on with me. I didn't teach it to my kids. I have 5 kids. One of them doesn't trust your race. The other ones are totally fine. So it's like, it's dying out, but we have to try to help each other to get there. It's like, you don't want contact with me. I don't want contact with you. How are we going to make things right? How are we going to bring peace to ourselves if we don't have that contact? And eventually, of course, Phlox convinces the guy that, yeah, you should be saved. Look, you know where it's going, but it's done so well that I'm giving it a 2. I don't care. I'm giving the pacing a 2 out of 2 because I don't care. To me, I absolutely loved every second of this. I was not bored, but I was enthralled in every line of dialogue. Even the side story, the B plot of like Mayweather, Reed, and Tucker going down into the caves. That was a trek to get in there. They have to climb, and then when he breaks his ankle, and they have to find these guys. When they find the 3 Denobulans, they're like, oh no, we're staying here because it's too important. We can't leave this site. And they're like, the regime changes around here every day, so by the time we get rescued, someone else will be in power and then we'll be fine. And they're like, no, you're going up. So even that had some interesting parts to it. The whole episode is great. Artistry, 2 out of 2. The cave stuff is really good and pretty scary. And when they get there, it's really neat. I know it's mostly on the ship, so why am I giving it a 2 out of 2? I'm giving it a 2 out of 2 for the reasons I'll explain in my enjoyment factor. But I liked everything the way it looked. You got a few different aliens. It just was all presented in a great way. I'm watching this on 4K, so when they're in it's on a 4K TV, it is Blu-rays. And when they're in the caves, you're like, whoa, it's pretty intense. Characters, 2 out of 2. The crew of the Enterprise in Star Trek Enterprise is probably my favorite crew collectively. Obviously, I like certain characters, like Spock's my favorite character, so obviously I like Spock better. But like collectively as a crew, I love every character. If they come to a convention, I'll meet all of them. I'm not like, oh, Hoshi's not that good. Love Hoshi. Love all these characters. So that's a big time 2 out of 2. Enjoyment factor, 2 out of 2. I absolutely loved everything about this episode. It's just one of my favorites of this season for sure. It's a big 10 out of 10. 0 complaints. It's handled beautifully. Phlox is just one of the best characters. I think Phlox is my favorite Doctor. And everything just worked out perfectly in this one. So 10 out of 10. Sorry, got a show for this one. That's it. If you guys like the space system, please like the video. Check out the playlist for Star Trek. And thanks for watching. Until next time.